Hey guys, today I'm going to be giving you a demonstration of K2. K2 is a platform that allows you to build forms, workflows at an enterprise grade level. The two demonstrations that I want to show you today is about, first one is about contract onboarding and the second one is about contract reviews. So let's jump in and show you what that looks like. So here we have a typical intranet. In this particular case, we've actually configured up our Sprocket, our intranet in a box solution. And so on this landing page, we obviously have the standard intranet sort of functionality that you would expect, but we also have a Yammer feed in here, which I'm going to come back to shortly. So let's start off with contract onboarding and head into the forms section of this site. Click on account onboarding. And I come up with a landing page that's discussing account onboarding. What I want to do, let me just explain what this whole concept or this process about contract onboarding. In this scenario, I want to automatically generate a contract. And in this scenario, it is about I have a contractor that I want to work for my organization, and I want to put together a letter of offer to that particular contractor. I want the contractor himself or her to fill out their basic details. That will come into this system. A reviewer will then come in and make sure all the detail is relevant. We'll select the template that they want to generate the letter of offer from, and that will then go through an approval process. Once it's been approved, we want to convert that into PDF, and we want signatures from both the contractor and the account manager of the business. Once it has been signed, then we want to store that away in our document management system, and we also want to integrate with other line of business systems in order to streamline and make that overall process more efficient. So I will show you a flowchart in a moment of what that looks like, but the first thing I want to do is go in and create a new account. So I'm going to click on Open a New Account. And this is what I was talking about before, where we could get a contractor themselves to come in and fill this form out. And there's two ways that they could do that, or at least two ways. In this scenario, they could send an SMS to that particular phone number and text in onboard. It would send them back a URL, or they could type in that URL directly. This could also be a link on your website, or you could email them that link. It really doesn't matter. But in this case, I will fill it out on behalf of the contractor. So let's enter the name of the account. So let's call it Contoso Incorporated. And the account type will be a customer. The industry will be related to computer software. The currency will be in US dollars. Sorry, let me try that again. And I'm also going to put in the location of that particular contractor, so their address effectively, and then I want to put in the contact details of that contractor. So, oops, I've got caps lock on. So let's type in here, his name is Freddie Jones, his contact phone number, and a primary contact email address. In this case, I'm going to put in my own email address, because this has some integration with email for signatures and so forth, and so I want this to come to me so that I can demonstrate this effectively to you. So I'll click on submit, and I'll get a notification to say that this process has started, and we will continue on. Okay, so now that we have submitted that, Freddie's now submitted his details. I will get an email notification about that to come in and review it. So let's flick over to our emails, and any moment we will get an email to inform us that we need to come in and review that. Okay, so there's the email. Good day, Freddie. This is a confirmation of account onboarding request, and it's telling me we need to come in and action it. And this email will also be sent to Freddie as well to tell him that the process has started. Okay, so now for me as that reviewer, I know that I will have an outstanding task in here. Now, one of the nice things about K2 is that all of your tasks are stored centrally in a central task list across all of K2. So what that means, no matter what forms and processes you have in place, each employee or each user of K2 knows that they have a central register of everything that they need to action. So it's clear if you're holding up any processes, approvals, workflows, etc. Okay, so what I wanted to do is come in here and have a look at the flowchart. And I'm going to leave this up throughout the duration of this process. And so again, K2 shows us the full flowchart of how everything works and what's going to happen. So at the start, the information has come in, the form has been submitted, and the first thing it's going to do in this case is to create a Yammer post. This is an interesting one, and the reason why it does this is just really an idea or a concept, and you certainly don't have to do this, but in this case, like I said, post to Yammer, and the idea is that if there's any conflicts of interest with anyone else in the organization in working with this Contoso Incorporated, then please let us know. So we're using the power of people within our organization to share their knowledge and let us know if anybody foresees any issues in onboarding this particular customer. So then what is going to happen is that it's going to come through and someone needs to review the account. Then we will get manager's approval of that and legal if need be. We will then send it out for signatures to both Freddie and to Bruce in this case to get signature, who will be Freddie's manager. Once we've all got everything signed off, then what we want to do is create a Yammer group where both internal and external, so Freddie can communicate with us internally through Yammer. We are going to create a Microsoft Office 365 planner board, which will show us all the tasks that we need to do in order to onboard Freddie successfully. We're also going to create a Dynamics Office 365 account, as well as a contact in Dynamics. We're also going to set up a SharePoint site, and then we're going to notify the relevant parties. And over here on the right hand side, that signed PDF document we're going to upload into our document management system called Trim, and we're also going to create an account code in SAP. So just for your information, the green boxes are the ones that have been completed, the blue ones is where it's at now, and the grey ones are the ones that we still need to get to. So let's continue on the process. And so the first thing, sorry, just flicking back, the first thing is around this Yammer post. Let me show you what that looks like. So let's head to the home page. And I mentioned before on the home page we have a Yammer feed showing up here on the home page. So this is just loading up. And it says, we're about to onboard Contoso Inc. as a new customer. If anybody has anything to say, please let us know. So all of our employees can write back and say, I have an issue or I don't have an issue, etc. So in this case, no concerns, look forward to working with Contoso Inc. And I'll post that. Okay, so now back in our forms area, what we are going to do is we are going to go in and review that particular account request. So I've clicked on the task, and now it's come in for me to come in and review it. Now what is loading here is that the top section is the Yammer feed. So I didn't have to go off to Yammer and to view all that information. When I fill out this form, excuse me, I can directly see what people have posted live in this form. And as people post, this will directly update and come in at this point in time. I then want to assign it to a manager, which in this case I'm going to assign it to myself. Now this certainly could be automated, so we might know that any contract in this case needs to be assigned to Joe Bloggs, and we wouldn't even request it, but in this case for demo purposes we've allowed it to be specified. Now here's the cool part, this is where we specify the template that we want to use. And so rather than going off and creating a template from scratch, we can use one that we've already prepared. This template lives off in a SharePoint document library that can be updated by administrators at any point in time. And then going forward, that template will be what is used to generate those live contracts going forward. Within that template, it has a whole bunch of dynamic fields, which is what we're going to pre-populate based on the information that we've already captured from the contractor. This document will be uploaded into a SharePoint document library. And the cool thing about that is that it's a single source of truth. That document will live in that library, and as it moves through the different processes in this workflow, everyone who needs to review and approve this particular document are all viewing that single source of truth, that one document. And if they want to make any changes at that point in time before they approve it, then they can do so. So rather than sending out an email to the people who need to approve it, and then they you send it out in an email and you include an attachment, and then you provide your annotations and your things that you're not happy with, that then comes back. You then need to collate that and put it into a document that you're happy with, and then send it back out for review. We're all now working on one document, and we can all see the same thing. And this is important for any sort of process that you implement within your organization. Okay, so the document's been generated now, and I'm given this little this hyperlink here to edit document in Office 365. If I click on the link, it will take me off to Office Web Apps or Word Online, where I can see the contents of that particular document. And you'll see here at the top that it is pre-populated the information that I loaded up about that contractor. It's also obviously brought through all the template content. And down the bottom, we have two signature panels. The first one is Freddie Jones, and the other one is Bruce Kangaroo, who will be Freddie's manager. Okay, so now what we want to do is just flick back and go through about, we've reviewed all this, and we accept this information and we submit the workflow. Okay, and so now what will happen is the review will be complete, and now we need the manager's review. And the manager's review will again come to me as I'm going to play that particular role. So we come back up here. I will now have a manager review for Freddie of K2 Incorporated, which I need to click on that. And obviously I can go through and review that document. I can make any changes I want to that particular document. I can also review any concerns with the Yammer post. Once this loads up, still loading. Okay, so the Yammer posts are there, the link is there to go and view the particular contract. I'm happy with everything that I see there, and then I accept. If I flick back to the workflow, the next thing that it's going to do is go out and get signatures. Now in this point, we integrate with DocuSign, which allows to, which is a platform that goes out and offers true auditing potential, where it will ask for electronic signatures and timestamp and get all the relevant metadata associated to that signature. That will be done by, so it's going to get the signatures, it's going to produce that document in a PDF, it's going to send out the email where both Freddie and Bruce need to sign that document. It doesn't matter which person signs it in which order, as long as both are signed, and once they're both signed, it will go through into the next phases of the process. So DocuSign also has an interface that allows us to see what's going on in the DocuSign system. So I have a link here which is off to DocuSign, and through this portal I can click on Sent Items, and I can see that this envelope has been sent out for K2 Incorporated, and down here I can see the two recipients that it's been sent to, along with the PDF that is being requested to be signed. So I can have a quick look at that PDF. I'll open that up for you. And so there's the document that we saw before, and down the bottom is the two signature panels. So let's go through and get signatures of those. So here I have an email that's come through, which is asking me to go through and review that document. So I click on the link to review it, and this takes me off to the DocuSign system. If anybody's used DocuSign before, they'll be familiar with this interface, but basically you accept the terms and conditions, and you scroll down through the document. Obviously you read the contents of the document, and then down the bottom you'll make a signature of that document. Okay, so it's going to ask for Freddie's signature. So I'm going to click on Sign, and I can draw this myself if I want, or I can adopt one of the signatures. And when I'm done, I'll click on Finish. Okay, so that signature has been done, it's been submitted. And if I go back to the DocuSign portal, very quickly you can see that that has now been completed and we're waiting on Bruce Kangaroo. So let's log into Bruce's email now, and he will have a similar email to say that he needs to go in and review and sign the document. So here's the link for Bruce. Again, we need to agree to the terms and conditions. Continue, start, it scrolls down. And you'll see, because Bruce is the second one to sign, we can already see Freddie's signature in there. We can sign, we'll just adopt that signature and we will finish it off. And if we head into back into the DocuSign portal, we will soon see that this has been completed. So you've seen both of them have now been completed. And if we flick back into the K2 workflow, we'll soon start to see all of these grey boxes turn green once it starts to do all these automations. So once the contract is signed, we'll then create an external Yammer group. We'll go off and create a plan in Planner. We'll create an account in 365, a contact in Dynamics 365. We'll create a SharePoint site. We'll upload that signed copy of the PDF into Trim, and we'll also create an account code in SAP. So I'll just wait for those, I'll give it 30 seconds to go through and complete. But this really concludes the demonstration of contract onboarding and shows you the power of K2 in that, I suppose just to summarize, we've collected some form data from an anonymous user, we've put that through a process, we've automatically gone in and generated the document based on the metadata that's been submitted or based on the form data that's been submitted. We've then run that through an approval process where the managers had to come in and review and approve, and has also had the ability to edit the contents of that document in a single source of truth up in a SharePoint document library. And then we've gone out and got signatures through an external party like DocuSign. Processes then continue on, and we've integrated with all sorts of services up in 365, including Yammer, Planner, Dynamics, SharePoint, Trim, and SAP. So you can see there it's going through and doing all those different steps. So that's demo number one. Demo number two that I want to show you is a contract review process. And this one's a little bit different. This one is under the scenario where I already have a contract that I have built up, and I want to get approval from all different people within my organization before it gets a final approval and obviously submitted into our contract management system. Okay, so contract review, I'm going to come in there. Again, I have a landing page full of my outstanding tasks across the entire K2 system. And what I want to do is come in and start a new review. And it comes up with this form. And what I want to do is upload the existing contract. So I'm going to upload the existing contract. I have an existing contract here. I'll show you what that looks like. It's called a software license and services agreement. So I'll show you the contents of that. It's a pretty boring document. Pretty boring document that just shows you the contents of that document. Pretty boring legal sort of stuff. So I'll close that down, and I'll select to upload that one. What that has now done is taken that document and uploaded that into a SharePoint document library. Again, the same scenario as before. We now have a single source of truth, and as we move through the review process of this particular contract, everyone is providing their input and feedback and approval based on one document. So I'm not sending this document out to 5 different departments via an email attachment to then have to collate and then go back out and review. It's all in that single source of truth. Again, it provides me with a nice link there to go and view it and edit that particular document in either through the web browser or through Word itself. So some things that I want to show you here. So we have a supplier field, the country. So I just wanted to show you some pretty basic functionality around the K2 and standard sort of field types that you can make use of in your forms. This is a type ahead function where we have a list of countries that is driving the values that are available and as you type it filters down. This could be anything. This could be SAP account codes, this could be employees, this could be or different facilities that you have or different locations. Of course, there's lots of different scenarios. The department that this is related to might be related to finance. The estimated contract value, let's say, is $10,000, but this currency might be in US dollars. So what this is doing is going off and using a foreign exchange to tell you what that is worth in Australian dollars, and it will also put a date stamp there. So a nice cool little feature. The renewal date, we've got a nice people picker here that we can say that expires a year from now. What is being purchased. So again, now we're starting to collect some metadata around this contract. And we can have dependency questions. So does this contract allow us to terminate at any time without financial penalty? Yes, okay, well that's great. No, then why? Okay, so if no, then tell us why. So I can say here, because we are being offered a discount. We can go through and just fill out all these fields. And obviously when you're building up your processes, we would make these questions specific to your scenarios. This is all 100% configurable. Is this supplier lending the group money or leasing the group asset? Again, we can provide a value. We'll click on next, and then we have a risk profile. So down the bottom at the moment, the risk level is amber. And we have defined a rule in this form that once it goes above a score value of 300, then we want it to be red, and we will scrutinize this particular contract in a lot more detail. Again, this is just setting up all of your different business rules to determine if this, then that. Okay, so does the procurement involve high contingent contract, I should say. If we tick that, and then we tick that, and we tick that, then you can see the value becomes above 300. It's turned red, which then has an impact potentially on the process that drives it. So let's click on next. It says, you have submitted the contract for review. Your contract ID is 69. Click OK. Let's head back into the contract review screen. And so we've submitted that contract and it's now going through review. And what I wanted to show you was the process that it is going to go through. So I click on, what did I click on? Review contracts. And down here, it's going to show me all of my contracts that I have submitted. So the first one on the list is my K2 Incorporated. I have a nice link here to go and view and edit the contents of that contract. But what I wanted to show you was this button here, which is track process. And this is going to show me exactly what's going to happen. Now, when I've submitted this contract, it's going to go through what we call a tilter process, which is going to request treasury, insurance, legal, tax, and accounting all to approve it. Now, based on certain fields within that form, we could send this process down different routes. In this case, it's nice and simple. It's just simply going to request approval from all of those 5 different levels. Once each of those 5 different levels come in and make their amendments and they're happy with that, then it will go to the contract manager to do a final approval, at least the final approval of the summarized version of the contract. And then it will go to the contract manager and the GM, and it will escalate if required. And then once it's all said and done, we will upload this into Salesforce. Again, another integration piece that can be configured in your K2 instance. So I'm not going to step through the entire process of this, but I will go through and do a particular. I'll do one of these approvals just to show you what it looks like. So back here, each of these 5 different approvals in this demo have all been assigned to me, but obviously they would be assigned to different people. Because they're all assigned to me, I have all these different levels of approval that I need to come in and do. The first one I will do for you is the insurance. And so putting my insurance hat on and come in and review this form. One of the cool things about this particular form, what we've built up here, is this progress bar, which shows us exactly where we're up to. So we obviously know we've completed the form, it's now in tilter review, and then we're waiting for the business units to come in and provide any feedback, etc., as we go all the way through until it's all approved. Underneath here we have the review history, so we can see exactly what's happened with this contract. So that full audit history around who's been involved in the process, who approved it or declined it at what point in time. We have that full history, as I said. We have that single link, that single source of truth where we can go and view the contents of that document and make changes if we wish. We can review the associated metadata. We can attach any additional supporting documentation or contract information. And then once we're happy, we can mark review as completed and we can say, great work. Or if we wanted to, we could send the contract back around to make changes and the contract owner would then have to make those adjustments. In this case, we're going to say that we're happy with it and we're going to submit it. Okay, so what we will expect in our process is that this insurance box will turn green, which it has, and now it's very obvious to see that we're waiting on the other 4 different departments to come in and have a look at that. Okay, one other thing that I wanted to show you before I go was just an example of some reports. So we've captured a lot of information through the contracts, both onboarding and contract review. I just wanted to show you an example of a report that we're utilizing in Office 365, I should say, called Power BI. Now this demonstration doesn't directly relate to the data that we've collected, but it's an example of what reports could look like for you. So in this case, it's actually about HR onboarding, and it's surfacing data that we've collected through a form, which is showing, okay, where have we onboarded staff from in which country? So it's showing it on a big map. At what process do we have all these different forms at? Across what different departments? When we're onboarding staff, are they predominantly male or female? And it's just showing the different chart ratio there. What role they've applied for and what department they've applied for. So if I click on female, for example, then I can filter down this data to see, okay, well, females, we've had X amount of applications. We've had 9 out of 70 applications that have been female, okay? So if you think about this bigger picture, there's some really powerful reports that you could create based on data that you collect through your K2 forms. At any point in time, and I could also right click and go see records, and I can see the raw data that I've collected or that Power BI is used to generate those reports. So you could have all sorts of different things. You could utilize this for your KPIs to say, okay, in the case of contracts, it's got, okay, we've raised 20 contracts and 5 of those are due for renewal in the next 6 months or whatever it might be. We've got 6 contracts that's pending on Joe Bloggs to go and approve. Let's go and tap him on the shoulder and give him a hurry up. So lots and lots of different scenarios where Power BI could be utilized. Again, reports are only as good as the data that you collect. So by harnessing the power of Sprocket, K2 using its forms and workflows, and then Power BI to get reports to allow you to make better business decisions, is obviously a very valuable tool that you could implement within your business. I hope you like this demonstration. If you have any questions, please comment or drop me an email, trent.allday@sope.com.au. You can hit me up on Twitter, which is @TrentAllday, and you can also find out more information about Sope at sope.com.au. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to speak to you soon.